I'm hitting a stagnation point. I'm hitting a point where I'm like, okay, I've done all of these things, but what do I want to do? What fills my soul? What makes me happy? And what type of career do I want? What imprint do I want to leave on the world? And that's from a different lens. And that lens requires me to step into my power and show up as someone who belongs in the room and not as someone who is just happy to be here, is just grateful to be here, and don't look at me, blah, blah, blah. Hello, my favorite material girls. It's Alexis Barber here, and I've got some things super exciting to share with you all today. But first, let's have a little chat about setting ourselves up for success. You know, my life is super busy and my time is valuable. Moving things forward in my career, staying on top of my wellness, and squeezing in fun moments with friends. You know how annoying it is when you're sneezing like crazy during a meeting, your eyes are watering while you're trying to get work done, or your nose won't stop running. The culprit may be fall allergies, and we are not gonna let that get in the way of our missions, okay? Like, seriously, who's got time for the runny nose and itchy eyes when you're trying to cross off your mile-long to-do list every day? Not me, and that's why I've partnered up with Zertek and joined the Z Squad. I've been dealing with allergies since I was a child. Every fall when I'm spending more time inside, it's the same story. Indoor allergies like dust and pet dander trying to ruin my vibe. But here's the thing, we are all too smart to let something like allergies slow us down, right? That's why I am all about Zertek. It gives me 24-hour relief from those dreadful indoor and outdoor allergy symptoms so that I can focus on things that I love, whether it's cozying up inside with a new TV show or heading outside for a spontaneous fall adventure. One pill in the morning when I start to feel symptoms, Zertek starts working at hour 1, and I'm set for the whole day. No more sneezing fits or watery eyes for me, just living my best life unbothered. So my loves, don't let allergies hold you back this season. Grab some Zertek, join me in the Z Squad, and let's keep being fabulous no matter what. Hello, my friends, and welcome back to Too Smart for This. It's your host, Alexis Barber. I'm excited for today's episode, okay, y'all? I just had some coffee. I'm having a great morning so far. We had a great event for Two Collective this week at Cork and Candle, and it's time for me to officially announce the Too Smart for This guided journal coming to you March 4th, 2025. I am so excited about this, and I have a physical one right here. We made a book. We wrote a book. What the fuck? This is so crazy. I'm so freaking excited about this, guys. This book is something this goes back to an episode I did a couple episodes back that was talking about how I can't believe I wrote this, because when I look back and edit and everything, I realize how so many of the answers that I need when I'm still struggling are within myself, because I wrote this throughout my first year as a Wharton MBA student. I got the offer for it at the first month of school. Which was I had just broken up with my boyfriend. I was navigating a world of change, and I signed the contract a couple days before my birthday. It was announced the week of my birthday, and I then went on to write it during the whole second semester. And I was waking up at 5. You saw me in the vlogs doing it all, focusing on writing the book. And when I'm struggling and I need something and I refer back to the journal, I recognize that everything I ever needed comes from self-reflection, and that everything you need in order to be your best self is within you too. And I find that journaling is the best way for us to unlock that within ourselves. And I really think this is going to be a transformative product for you guys. And I'm really, really excited that it's going to come to you soon. So pre-orders are available now. I'll make my author plea to you right now, but pre-orders are so important. Pre-orders are the number one thing. It's so important for us to project how the book is going to do. It is an $18 and it comes out March 4th. So if you could pre-order using the link, I would be forever grateful. And there will be a pre-order incentive where I'm going to give you guys a whole New Year's planning guide, and that's going to come whenever it comes out. If you pre-order now, you'll still get it later. And if you pre-order in January, etc., you'll get it then as well. But I am so grateful for all of your support. None of this could have happened without you. My book agent found me from the podcast, and I cannot believe every time I meet one of you who's listening in how incredibly successful and interesting you all are, and the fact that you were kind enough to share that with me and to be here and stick around and help me build this business and this podcast. I can't think about it because I will start crying, but the book, it's coming. It's coming. Too Smart for This by Alexis Barber. You guys are going to love it. I'm so thrilled and so grateful for you. Please pre-order. It will mean so much to me. Tag me if you do online, message me, whatever. I'm so excited, and I just can't even deal with it. So now that we have that out of the way today, guys, I'm going to have a little fun with this episode, okay? So I don't know if you guys have been seeing the trend on TikTok, and if you're not on TikTok, then you haven't seen it, but it is this hashtag women in male fields, which is where girls are sharing little things that they've done to guys, or not that they've done, little things that guys have done to them from their perspective and saying a woman in male fields. So for example, one that I posted was, found out he's more successful than me, so I slowly chipped away at his self-worth and ended things because his standards are too high. This has happened to me 20 million times. So other examples are, I'm going to read you guys some of my favorites, okay? Let's see. When he's got tears running down his face, explaining to me why my actions hurt him, and I just ask him, why are you with me then? Women in male fields. Haven't texted him back, but just liked his story. Women in male fields. Told me he didn't appreciate that I was liking all these women in men's fields posts, and I told him that it was just a joke and not all women are like that. Women in male fields. He sent me a paragraph explaining how he felt, and I responded with, I don't know what you want me to say right now. So hopefully you guys get the vibe that's going on here, but it's like things that men do that are like so disrespectful, and it's like, you know what, I'm just gonna turn that back on you. Like, it's so funny because I think this resonated with so many women, because it's like, girl, why are we all having the same experience with guys? Why are we all literally going through hell together? Like, every single one of us has had to deal with that, like sending a long text and a man just being so stupid in his response, or a man liking a bunch of girls' Instagrams pictures and you being like, that makes me uncomfortable, and him being like, so why are you even with me? And like, just like the perpetual, what is it called? The weaponized incompetence that men use, where it's like, okay, I know you're not dumb, you're just pretending to be so that you can avoid the emotional consequences of being in relationship with a smart person. And it's so funny to me because we are saying all of this, and like, I've never done any of these things to guys because I feel like I'm a good person for the most part. And I actually, let me completely disclaim that, because I've not been perfect in all of my situationships. But the point is, what I realized about this trend is that we need to take notes from the way men are acting. And I had already been thinking about this a ton at school, because as part of my startup accelerator, where I'm working at Two Collective. If you don't know, a startup accelerator is usually a program where you have to apply with your pitch deck and with your idea. They interview you, and when you're a part of the accelerator, you get introduced to tons of different entrepreneurs, tons of different, resources and opportunities for you to work on your business, and you are expected to make progress on it by the end and come out of it with a better business plan and a better future for your product, basically. And so in this startup accelerator, there are an equal representation of men and women. However, I'm the only brand that's not doing an AI startup. And of everyone who's come back, I've learned some very valuable insights from the people who are running these $75-100 million companies now. And the most valuable insight is that if you are a white man and you have a dream, you could raise $10 million off of a pitch deck. It doesn't matter. And I started thinking about this when we were in a session with these two guys who were like clearly like these nerdy but very cocky dudes who, yes, their company was about to be valued at $100 million. And they were telling us some of their practices and what they had done. And I was so shocked by how, I'm never going to say entrepreneurship is easy, but by how easy it was for them, because they were really just throwing shit at the wall and seeing what stuck. And they were really just like, kind of like faking it till they made it. And I got to thinking of, and I've seen that example in tons of different things here at Wharton before. And it really got me thinking about why women have less and like why men have more. And the conclusion that I've come to is that men believe they can have more, and that's pretty much the only reason that they do. Because women, we don't ask enough. We're not loud enough. We don't step up in the same way that men do. And it's not because we are dumb or worse or have less ideas or are less competent. Not at all. It's because we've been trained not to. And it's completely normal. I don't want us to beat ourselves up, because I was beating myself up for not applying to this accelerator earlier because my business has revenue. Like, I wish that I had stepped in and believed in myself a little bit faster, but I forgive myself for not doing it earlier, because I understand why I felt that way. And that's because as a Black woman, I've felt like I had to be twice as good to get half as much. And while that is true in a lot of places, we are never going to get what we want if we're not asking for it and if we're not taking advice and doing the things that everyone else is doing. And it doesn't mean always doing everything right. It doesn't mean always having to be perfect in the way that you do things. It means doing things messy, and it means doing things because you have a little bit of belief in yourself and you're just going to go for it. Because I think women, we move through the world looking for respect and making sure that we are thinking about everyone and being empathetic in the way that we approach things. And that's the beautiful thing about being a woman, because what we create is usually so much more thoughtful and interesting and solves real problems because we have those amazing gifts. But the reason that men have more wealth and more opportunity is because even though they may or may not be thinking about those things, but what they are doing is that they are taking action and they're using their networks and they're asking for things and they are running through doors and breaking them. And that is something that I have had to learn while being here at Wharton, is that it's not that any of these white dudes in finance are smarter than me. It's that they believe in themselves more and that they are asking for things and acting like they belong here. Another reason this came up for me recently is that you guys know I'm an astrology girly, and we are coming to a big collective transformational moment with the transition of Pluto into Aquarius or whatever. And basically this planet has been in this sign for the last 15 years. If you think about 2008, that's when Obama took office. We've had a very crazy sense of politics over the past, 15 years since Obama took office, the implications of that, the Trump presidency, Biden's presidency, Kamala's presidential run, blah, blah, blah. A lot has happened, and Capricorn is the sign of big business and stuff like that. A lot happened after that 2008 market crash. I mean, so much has happened, and astrologers have all been talking about this big moment. And what I've recognized that it has awoken in my personal life and in my personal experience is that I'm coming to the end of this identification that I've had for a long time with being the underdog and being the person that nobody thought I could make it. I overcame so much, because if you don't know my story, I have overcome a lot. And not to reframe all of it now, but being born to a teen mom, living in poverty, living in the projects, getting to be able to go to a great school, which happened in 2008. That's when I started at City Academy, which is a private school for gifted children in the most underserved zip codes of St. Louis. Getting to go there. And in 2008, that's when I was able to first see that there was more for me. That was when my elementary school teacher, she came up to me after I had a hard time transitioning into private school. And my elementary school teacher came up to me one day after I had forgotten my homework once again. It was the first 3 weeks of school. I didn't know what I was doing. And she told me, she said, "I know you're better than this." And that sense of belief that she instilled in me, this strong Black woman, she still teaches there. She teaches my little siblings. That changed my life, that perspective that I could be more. And seeing strong Black women at that school helped me so much. And eventually I skipped a grade. I went on to go to boarding school, the best school in Missouri. I went on to go to a top 10 university, and now I'm at this great school. Educationally, career-wise, professionally, I've accomplished the dreams that 9-year-old who was struggling was looking for. But I'm hitting a stagnation point. I'm hitting a point where I'm okay, I've done all of these things, but what do I want to do? What fills my soul? What makes me, happy? And what type of career do I want? What imprint do I want to leave on the world? And that's from a different lens. And that lens requires me to step into my power and show up as someone who belongs in the room and not as someone who is just happy to be here, is just grateful to be here, and don't look at me, blah, blah, blah. And I have struggled with this a lot. And it's not the first time that this has come up. I mean, in my internship at Google in 2019, I obviously I did amazing. Like listen, I feel like if you're listening to this, you're the type of person who is going to do well at work no matter what. Like I actually broke up with someone over the summer. We had like a tumultuous, like multiple month situationship. And when I found out he got a bad review at work, I was like, that's just something I would never do. Like it was my ultimate ick to me. So obviously I did well during my internship, but my one piece of feedback at the end of the summer was that I was aging myself too much. I was being like, I'm young, I'm a Gen Z, I'm like, I don't belong here, I'm just the intern. I would sit, like if you walk into a conference room and there's only enough seats in the middle, but there's seats on the side, I would immediately sit on the side instead of sitting at the table. And my manager, Kevin, king, obsessed with him, literally best manager ever. I feel like my best managers at Google were white men, which is very interesting, but he was like, don't do that. You're smart. You deserve to be at the table. You deserve to be here. Like, act like it. Don't age yourself because it makes you look unprofessional and like no one in the room knows who you are. Like, you just talk like you belong there and act like you belong there. And that was something I had to work on when I got to Google. And it's something I think I'm having to work on now, where even in class or at school, I'm always expecting around me that everyone is looking down and saying, oh, she doesn't belong here. Not everyone knows. If you act like you belong there, then you do. And so that's something I've been struggling with, because I'm like, I don't know if people are going to take me seriously if I'm just a podcaster and if I'm just an author or whatever. And if I whatever, like, what if I want to be impressive to people? I want to and it's like, put that all away. We talked about that a couple episodes ago. Breaking free from the need to impress. I don't need to impress you. I need to do what I want to do. So this moment for me is about letting go of an identity of someone who is just happy to be there and stepping into someone who belongs there and shows up as though everything they're doing is important because they know it is, not because they're looking for validation that it is. And so the woman in male fields trend resonated because it was like, wait, this is such a funny example of like how men show up in the world with so much entitlement. And if we don't do that, nothing's really going to change for us, because those are the rules of the game. And when we're not even playing with the same tools, then of course we're going to get left behind. So I want to give you 3 ways that you can implement doing the woman in male fields thing for your own personal, professional gain. Okay? Number 1 is to ask for things. Please. This is so annoying. I just shared with you guys about how I should have applied to this accelerator earlier. I should have asked for things earlier. But here's a funny example. I have a good friend at school, and he's a white dude, and classic white dude, like did banking over, literally, please. And I was complaining to him one day about not getting into a class that I wanted to get into. And he was like, Lexi, why don't you just email and ask to get in it? Because you're one of the only people who has a startup that actually has revenue. Like, why don't you just ask? He said it to me like I was stupid for not even considering that fact. I was like, I didn't get in fair and square. Like, I'm not going to ask, That's the mindset we all need to be operating from. Just ask. And I did a pretty good job of this, like with the event that we had for 2 Collective in September. I just asked for things, reaching out to people, and they gave it to me for free. And like, that is what you have to do, because if you don't ask, you're not going to get what you want. Like, sometimes people will say no. There was one instance where I asked this business if they could subsidize, and they said no, and that was fine. But you still have to ask, because everybody else said yes, and I got everything else for free. And that is something that white men are constantly doing that you need to do in your life. So I want you to think about one big thing and one small thing in your life that you really want. Something that you're like, oh, I really would love to get tickets to that show. TikTok girlies will know. Or like, I would love to be able to go on this trip at work, and come up with a plan to ask for both of those things. Like, whether it's a small thing, or maybe it's like from your mom for Christmas, a gift that you want, ask for it and be like, this is what I want. And do it from a place of understanding that the answer might be no. Don't do it from a place of like expecting for it to happen and get your hopes up and stuff. do it for the sole exercise of getting comfortable asking for more things, because this is going to be so transformative that when you get to your career later on and you need to ask for help, or if you need to ask for a promotion, that you are comfortable doing that, because this is truly a skill. Learning how to ask for things is a skill. This is something that white men, they do all the time in their own little networks. They're constantly asking each other for favors, for this, for that. And if we don't show up and ask, then when you ask another person, especially another woman, for something, you give them permission to know that they can ask for it too. Women didn't always know they could ask for help. We didn't always know that we could ask for support or emotional support or financial support from people, but we do now. And so when you ask, you give someone the permission to ask, and you also are learning a valuable skill that's going to help you no matter what down the line. So practice asking for things is my number one tip. And the second one is to believe in yourself. And this sounds like so cliche and boring and like, wait, that's not actually a real tip. Like, what do you mean, believe in yourself? And the truth of the matter is, white men believe in themselves, and they're like, I could do anything, honestly. An example of this is the 80+% of venture capital funding that goes to white men every single year. Just so you guys know, when people say that stat, venture capital funding, a lot of it is literally just a pitch deck and a dream. Most of these guys are showing up and asking for money from people in their networks or from VC firms or whatever, raising tens of millions of dollars, literally just with a pitch deck. They don't feel like they have to do everything beforehand, because they believe strongly in their ideas and that they can make things happen. And for whatever you want to do in your life, you have to believe in yourself that you're able to do it. And that comes with building a form of self-trust and building your own confidence. When you're building your own confidence, that is when you're going to be able to show up to these things and not show up from a place of lack, but rather from a place of abundance. And then you're able to get so much more when you are believing in yourself. And so the best way to do this is to ask yourself, why not me? And secondly, the follow-up I would say to that is, what would a mediocre white man do? Because you don't need a ton of evidence in the same way that you think you do. And you can literally just sit and say, like, in this situation, what would this person do? And I saw a funny TikTok yesterday that was like, it was by my friend Cyrus. And they said, before you start explaining something to a man, or mansplaining something that you understood, that you figured out when you were 10 years old, because of course you did, ask yourself, would these hours be billable? Which is so funny to me, because it's like, you have so much expertise in you. You have so much that you've accumulated, so many amazing skills, so much that's unique to you, and you're not using it because you still don't believe in yourself. You're still holding on to that thing of, oh, I'm a woman and I won't get the same opportunities, or oh, I can't do that because of this. And it's like, no, blindly believe in yourself. Fake it till you make it if you have to, because that's what these men are doing, and they're getting away with it, okay? And if you struggle with this, my tip number 3 is to gather evidence that it's possible. The reason I think a lot of white men believe in themselves so much, and I say white men, or honestly, let me not even limit it to white men. The reason I think a lot of men believe in themselves so much is because they have a lot of evidence around them that shows them success is possible for them. And that is because almost all leadership roles in the world are filled by men, despite it doesn't matter what the industry is, because even though women are supposed to be in the kitchen cooking, the top chefs in the world are men. Even though women are supposed to be, like being homemakers or whatever, the top interior designers and architects in the world are men. It doesn't matter the industry. Men are the leaders in all of it. So of course they believe that they can do it. So what you need to do is gather evidence that it's possible for you. And this requires going a little deeper in your research to see, okay, hold on. Is this a female CEO? How did she did this? So it's possible. And like for me, it was like watching the Martha Stewart documentary. A woman, the first American self-made billionaire in the United States, did it by being an influencer. And the second, like Oprah, did it by being an influencer. And yet we look down on influencing. Can you believe that? Let's be serious, guys. Let's be real. Like, there is plenty of evidence, if you look for it, that whatever your dream is possible for you. And it's also important to look for this at a smaller level for other things that you want to implement into your life. Gather evidence that it's possible for you to change your body by going to the gym. Gather evidence that it's possible for you to save enough money to put a down payment on a home. Look for this evidence in your community of other people around you, because it's there if you give energy to it. It's not going to be there if you don't give energy to it. And I mean, white men and have the most examples in the world. Black men have all this evidence as well. Men talk about money. They talk about their networks and they talk about deals. They're knowledge sharing with one another. So the other thing I encourage you to do is shift your conversations with your friends from talking about boys all the time to talking about knowledge sharing, to talking about how you can support each other throughout the difficult times you're going through, talking about your career and talking about how, oh, I really want to do this in my career one day, but I don't know how I'm going to do it, because I guarantee you someone in your community can help you with it. So make a conscious effort next time you're like in the middle of a conversation, it's starting to lull and you're not sure what the next topic's going to be, bring it away from guys, which is usually the easiest thing to jump into talking to, something we're all very used to doing, and bring it towards career and mindset and personal growth, or even just something like, how can I support you better? Like, I love you guys so much. Like, what can we do? Like, what are you guys struggling with personally? And move away from talking about relationships, because knowledge sharing helps you gather evidence that things are possible for you. And I mean, I would never make a huge career decision without consulting my girlfriends, because I'm like, oh my God, you guys are smart. You're thinking about things in a better way than me in a lot of situations. And when you're struggling with something at work, your friends can always help you. And so I would really encourage you to look for evidence, both on a macro scale of looking for people who've accomplished what you want to accomplish and holding those in your head and being confident that it's possible for you, and on a micro level of looking for, has my friend overcome this problem at work? If she can do it, I can do it too. Is my friend being able to switch jobs and being able to be successful? Yes. Okay, me too. Look for it in influencers, whatever it is. Condition your mind and everything around you, every information source and connection source that you can control. It's important that you reframe all of those to be in a position of supporting your self-confidence, your self-worth, and your goals. So to recap, the 3 things to do if you want to transition and sort of take your power back, act more like a man, is ask for things, believe in yourself, and gather evidence that it's possible for you. I've seen this with all of them. I've observed the most classic high earning dudes in the world are here at school with me. These are the things that they're doing. And when we're not doing this, then we can't be mad when we don't get all the success that they do too. And I mean, there's plenty of discrimination in the world. I never want to be misconstrued that I'm like, oh, women just need to act, but like what women really need to do is, yes, ask for things. Yes, continue to be great. Of course, there's going to continue to be discrimination, but what we need to do is connect with each other, use our networks, and knowledge share amongst us. And we need money too. Yes, we need resources, 100%. I will stand by that. But we also need to get comfortable failing. We need to get comfortable that things don't just happen. And that's a narrative that so many women have pushed for years, because societally, it has not always been embraced when a woman admits that they worked hard. I mean, look at Martha Stewart. Watch that documentary, you guys. It's on Netflix. It's so good. If she admits that she is trying, if she admits she's a hard worker, that she's difficult to work with, that she's a bitch, that she is a CEO that's very direct, if a man were to do any of that, he would be literally praised. But because she did it as a woman, she was torn down for it in the worst possible way. The point of the Martha Stewart of it all is that these women, it hasn't always been societally safe for us to show up and act like this is what we want. And so the narrative that I hear almost every female entrepreneur on all the podcasts, all over Dear Media, all over How I Built This, is like, oh, it was just like luck. Like it just happened. I had my first celebrity client and it just like blew up. And now I have this $10 million business. And that narrative is false. It's a false narrative. The reality of being an entrepreneur, especially being a minority or being a female entrepreneur, is that every day you're failing, every day you're running into a fire, every day you're making a trade-off, every day you are sacrificing. There are difficulties that are going to arise all the time. You cry a lot of the time. Of course, your launch days are fun or whatever, but people have romanticized it and made it into this aspirational thing, and it's not that. And becoming the first female CEO of a Fortune 500 company, it doesn't just happen by being nice and luck. It happens by implementing these types of things that people are doing, because this is the game and this is how it's played. And you can't operate if you're not using the same tools. If you're not playing basketball with the same ball, then how are you going to expect to win? And so I feel very strongly about, one, being very transparent about the difficulties of entrepreneurship, etc. And two, I feel very strongly about how we're not going to get the financial and emotional stability that we want if we don't have these skills and if we don't start acting like we deserve them. So with that all being said, that was today's episode. I still want to do my 4 types of rest for you guys. I didn't do it at the beginning because I was showing off our amazing journal. Don't forget to pre-order her. Whew, girl, that was so fun to talk about. Okay, switching gears. This week's 4 types of rest. Okay. Connection, number 1. I'm going to a black coffee concert and Korean barbecue with my friend. So excited about that. It's going to be really cute tomorrow night. And connection, it's important right now. I mean, I'm about to go home for the holidays next week and stuff. So it's a good time to just get back into that zone of connection. 2, for pampering, I got a facial at Glow Bar. I think I told you guys I was going to get one last time, but I got the facial. It was fine. But what I learned is that Glow Bar, it's like kind of chill because it's like just a 30-minute facial or whatever. And a lot of the tools I had at home, one of which was this high frequency wand that's antibacterial. And I don't know about you guys, but if you break out antibacterial, like high frequency is so crucial because that's what's breaking down whatever's like clogging your pores. So get it on Amazon. I have the links for you guys if you want to shop it. It's so good. And they were doing it on my face at Glow Bar and I was like, wait, I could do this every night at home. So highly recommend doing that for pampering and like getting your like skincare going. It's winter, so it's a good time to do a bunch of that. I did a little like light chemical peel with lactic acid and my skin has been dry, but it's also so smooth now. Like invest in some fun at-home skincare and like give yourself a facial, you know? I'll leave some of my favorite products like my masks and stuff below. That reminds me I haven't taken a bath in like a long time. Rejuvenation. My rejuvenation has been lacking these past few days, guys. I have been struggling to make it to the gym, struggling to eat healthy and find things to eat. If you guys saw me on TikTok, I was crashing out because my DoorDash was taking forever. And I think it's because like I just haven't made time to grocery shop and stuff, and it's totally fine, but it's like I hate when this happens when I have like an off week. But when you have an off week, it reminds you the importance of having an on week. So with that being said, for some rejuvenation, I am going to be making myself a sick soup on Friday. I'm so excited. I was like, I need to get back into my, like, it's like getting into winter season now. I'm going to go home on Thursday. So I'm like, okay, let me like make some great soups, go to the farmer's market, do it all. That's my rejuvenation tip for you is soup season. It's so much fun. And you can also store it really easily. And it's like just like a warm hug in the winter. And then rotting. I rotted so hard on Sunday, guys. I was so hungover. I vlogged it. I have a big vlog coming to you guys soon, but girl, I rotted so hard because we had our Africa business conference and I felt bad about it for a while because I was like, I could have done so much with this Sunday, but I haven't stayed out that late. I stayed out till 4 a.m. with my friends and I never ever do that. So it felt so nice to like be one of the girls hanging out, making these connections, having a good night out and then doing nothing the next day. It's fun to have fun. And so I'm happy that I did that and I'm not beating myself up about it. Okay. So if you want to go out and have fun this weekend or even this week, next week is Thanksgiving, girl, do it because that's the point of life. We cannot just constantly be working. Note to self. All right, guys, thank you so much for listening. I'm so grateful for every single one of you. And I want to encourage you to purchase a classic 2 cozy or a 2 chill robe for one of your loved ones this year. We have customization available on the site. You all are already loving it. It's actually, I'm a little worried because I was like, wait, I don't know if I can keep up with this kind of demand for custom orders, but I know you'll love them. We have such cute little designs you can do, and they are so adorable and such a thoughtful gift. I think in order to give a good gift, the gift needs to be thoughtful, functional, and the extra like cherry on top is when it's personalized. So being able to personalize it for someone is so cute. So make sure you are shopping our sale. We're going to have a tiny little Black Friday sale, and that's going to be available on our Shopify, not on TikTok shop. We are soon going to be available on Amazon. So if you do want to wait and do a little last minute gift later on, you're going to be able to, I promise. But for now, shop a custom order, because when you shop custom, it takes 2 weeks. So if you want it in time for the holidays, you've got to place your orders early. And I love you all so much. Don't forget, you're too smart to not love yourself. And I'll see you next week. Bye.